Hey, welcome back. My name is Daniel, and we are on day number 5 of our 90-day journey of Solomon's Song, God's Expressed Desire for Your Heart. And we're in verse number 6, chapter 1 of Solomon, Song of Solomon, and verse number 6, day number 5 in your devotional book. And the day is called What Others Call Waste, God Calls Worship. And there is a theme that you're going to see recurring over the next several days as you go through this book, and it goes in like little segments and little sections of her life, and this is like a journey. I don't expect anyone to start with this journey with God and automatically be there with this understanding. In fact, you may struggle with this. As we've gone through the last couple of days, you may look and say, yeah, I want to say that sounds good, and yeah, no. And that's okay. I remember one lady in Texas was going through the Solomon Song 90-day journey, and she's like, she sent me a screenshot picture of day number 15 of her book, and she's like, I'm not going to show you what day number she's on time. I'm on day number 35, and I'm not going to show you what I've written in the other days, but I want you to see this day because this day was pivotal. Day number 15, it had these big letters that said, I believe this. And she said, what makes this so powerful to me is because days 1 through 14, all it says on every day's entry in the journal portion of the book was, I don't believe this. And it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you struggle with it. It's okay if you look at it. And I know that sometimes going through, if your relationships in life, sometimes they're bad relationships, and sometimes the examples that we have, specifically with men to women, sometimes the relationship has not been good. It's been abusive, and it's been very painful to look at someone desiring me and loving me because I don't know really what that feels like. And I just want to tell you, don't give up on your journey with God. Don't just drop off the map. Let it take its course. When those feelings surface, deal with those feelings and look at those for what they are, and ask God to help you find resolution in those things because they're real and they're important. And so when you come through a study like Song of Solomon, I just want you to know that I understand this can be very difficult, and you may look at some of the ones we've talked about already and said, I don't really feel that. And I don't feel God feels that way about me, and that's okay. I'm not offended by that. This is a journey. This is a 90-day journey, and we're on day number 5 of that journey, of 90-day journey. So we've got 85 more days, and it is something that you're going to grow in, and you're going to develop with God in that relationship, and it's going to take some time. It may take longer than 90 days, and that's okay. So we're here, and we're in the bedchamber with the king and the bride, and just to jump back in and catch you up here, he was telling her she was beautiful, and she brought up the fact that she looked at the tents of Kedar, and he reminded her, no, you're not wool, I made you silk. And the message there was that God made us worthy and valuable. And here she is in verse number 6 of chapter number 1, and she's no different than you or I. When someone tells you something, we have very poorly constructed, poorly developed, receivers, right? So when someone tells you something or gives you something, the very first thing we do is say no, right? If someone says, let me buy your meal, no, I got this. If someone says, hey, you look nice today, the very first thing we do is find something about what we're doing to downplay that compliment. I like your hair. Yeah, it needs cut. They just told you liked your hair. Hey, that's nice color on you. Yeah, well, this is an old shirt. We what are we doing? We're coming back with a reason why we don't deserve that compliment. So when God tells us, I love you, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, it is not a surprise to God that we don't believe him. It's not offensive to God. He's not looking there shocked and stunned. He said, no, this is a person who has lived their life out of their own resources, and they've looked for satisfaction in people, places, and things, and all those things have let them down, and their trust is very, very low right now, and he understands it. So if you struggle with this idea of God finding value in you, that's okay. It's okay. Give him time. It's going to be all right. So here in chapter 1 and verse number 6, she's talking again. She says, look not upon me because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me keepers of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. And what I see there is barrier. Excuse as to why I don't deserve to be loved by you, is what she was telling him. And she just hints a little bit about some of her family abuse that she went through. And this girl was in an abusive home, and she was abused by her brothers. And she talks about that very candidly as she goes on, and they talk about it themselves. As they try to gain favor with the king, oddly enough, they tell him things that they've done to her. And you're going to see the evidences of their abuse in her life as the king addresses each and every wound in her heart, because that's what God does. He looks at the wounds and he addresses those. And as you go through a study like this, if wounds surface, let God do the healing. Let him step in and let him anoint those wounds with oil. Let him do his healing work in your life through those things. But she says, don't do this. And she's struggling once again to accept the idea of the king's love for her. She finds herself speaking down about herself, her looks and her past. And what she's ultimately saying is, I don't feel worthy of your love for me. But in all of this, let me just say that she stands oblivious to the fact that she is standing where very few people have ever been allowed to stand. She's standing in the personal chambers of the king by his request. We have a very difficult time accepting God's forgiveness and his grace in our life. And we struggle with the idea that he made us worthy to stand in his presence. And I just want to free you for a minute with this and just say that your distance with the king, where he's put you at with him, that was his behavior that brought you close, not your behavior. Your closeness to God is not dependent upon your behavior. Your closeness to God was settled on his behavior. When he was on the cross and he said, "It is finished," that behavior is what made you close to God. He cleansed us, and he alone makes us worthy to be in his presence. I don't understand it. It's not right. It's not fair. And that's the scandal of grace. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that Jesus went to the cross for me, and it wasn't fair that Jesus went to the cross for you, but he did. And because of that, whether I feel worthy or not, you are never what you feel. You are what his word reveals about you. And so if you struggle with that, understand that his behavior made you close, not your behavior. So last time I challenged you to write a message on your bathroom mirror that says, "I am silk." And so I want to just continue with that. I'd like you to do it again today. I'd like you to find some note card or your bathroom mirror or on your desk at work, and I want you just to write the words, "I am close." I am close, and I want you to look at that throughout the day, and I want you to tell yourself and read that to yourself, affirm it out loud. I am close. I'm close because of his behavior, not because of mine. So my question for you today is, what blemishes do you have that make you feel unworthy? What blemishes in your life do you have that make you feel unworthy? God says, "I love you. You're perfect and you're flawless." And you say, this is why that is not correct. And then the follow-up question would this be, whatever you just listed off in your mind, maybe you didn't write it out or speak it out, but it's in your mind. So this is the next question. What is it you could do that would ever undo what Christ did for you on the cross to make you worthy? What is it that you could do that would ever undo what Christ did on the cross to make you worthy? I remember speaking at a teen conference, and they had a question and answer service, afterwards, and they had a panel of teen speakers, and one of the people asked, they said, will getting a tattoo send you to hell? And the guy next to me, he rolls up his sleeve and he's like, "I hope not," because he had one, and everybody laughed. And one of the parents said, "Yes, but did you get that before or after you were saved?" And he said, "Well, after or before I was saved." Everybody said, "Oh, okay." And I just said, "Let me answer this real quick." And I said, what is it that you could ever do that would undo the blood of Christ? Like, what is greater and stronger than the blood of Christ? Is it tattoo ink? And I'm not encouraging this teenager to get a tattoo at this point. I'm just asking you, is it possible for me to get tattoo ink that would undo the blood of Christ that cleansed me? There's a whole lot of reasons for tattoos and pros and cons, and you can go with Scripture's got a ton to say about it, but my point is this, that there's nothing you can do that would ever undo or negate what God did for you on the cross. It's settled in heaven. His word, it is finished. Forever, O Lord, is thy word settled in heaven. You're his, lock, stock, and barrel. I said it before, you're so saved, it's pitiful. He's not going to let you let you go. And so if you do struggle with your identity values with him, it's okay. Let him do his work. Let him grow you, and let yourself grow. Give yourself time. Let yourself soak it in. I would encourage you to read books like the book of John and read that in the Bible and see the heartbeat of God for you, and let God begin to ask him. We have not, because we ask not, just ask God, would you teach me your love for me? Use the study in Solomon's song to teach me my value to you, apart from what I do, what I have, or what other people think of me, and watch what he does. Thanks very much. We'll talk at you next time.